Police.
Yeah, that's police. We really need them in Benton County, y'all. We really need them in Benton County. So yeah, I grew up here in the 90s. A lot has changed, right? A lot's changed in Northwest Arkansas, good old NWA. A lot of things have stayed the same, right? A lot of good things, right? So we have beautiful nature here, the trails, the waterways, yes. People come from all over to enjoy our beautiful state. So we have beautiful nature. It's quite the melting pot. People come from all over the country, all over the world to NWA for various reasons. So we have beautiful nature, it's a melting pot, and we have the best sex education in the entire country. That's sarcasm. That is sarcasm. New information. By the way, if you're loving on somebody who grew up here in Arkansas, raised with our glorious sex education, give them a little extra love. We're about 25 years behind. I swear, I'll talk to a 19-year-old from a different state, and they're way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. So yeah, sex education in Arkansas. We've all got our stories, right? It's probably the same, I think. But yeah, 1990s sex education. So you got one of two things. You either were taught sex ed by the coach, right? Pretty standard. Or the sex pot health teacher, right? I got to do both because I was a bad kid and I went to Rogers for a semester. But the pinnacle of my sex education was actually in Bentonville. The Kirk Cameron videos. Who knows who Kirk Cameron is? Nobody. Okay, you got it. So Kirk Cameron, just to get you up to speed on who that is. So he starred in a show called Growing Pains, mid-'80s to early '90s. He was the oldest of the Seavers. You know, give me that smile again. Don't waste another minute on your crying. We're nowhere near the end. Yeah, that one. Watch it. It's a great show. It's a great show. But yeah, Michael Seaver was my favorite. I actually had a crush on Mike Seaver, played by Kirk Cameron. And, you know, he had the curly hair, the dimples, and he was the mischievous one. They were all mischievous, but he was the most mischievous. And that was my kind of fellow back in the day. So yeah, Mike Seaver, yeah, taught me sex ed. So I'm sitting, I was ready for the sex talk. I was very naive, so I thought I was gonna get some really great information. I was ready to be the sex queen of the day. I was ready. Just tell me all about the sex, I wanna do it. So, you know, they wait the whole semester, you know, right? Because it's normally in health class. So it was the very last thing we're taught. So I was ready. I've been waiting the whole damn time. And finally the day came around and I was on cloud nine. And I sit there and I found out, you know, our health teacher was like, we're gonna watch a video. And Kirk Cameron, it's gonna star Kirk Cameron. Nobody else in the room knew who he was. I was the only nerd that knew who he was, and I was all excited. I was already sitting there with my notepad, just ready to jot down all the details. And when I heard Kirk Cameron was giving the sex talk, my childhood crush, I was ready. I was wet and ready. And well, the thing about Kirk Cameron, outside of being on Growing Pains, he also helped put out the Left Behind series. Anybody know who the Left Behind? If you don't know what the Left Behind series is, it's fiction. It's about the rapture. You can find it at your local flea market. It's been sitting there for decades. Of course, I didn't know he had made such a change in '98. So I was sitting there ready for this sex talk I'd been building up for several months. And, you know, the health teacher slides in the VHS tape, and I'm ready. And it opens up. It's actually pretty damn wacky. I watched it the other day. It opens up with this carnival scene, right? And it's like this discombobulated carnival. And the whole thing that they're trying to sell you is that sex is a game. It's a very dangerous game. It's a crapshoot. It's like going to a carnival, which was a terrible thing to tell vaudeville-loving, clown-loving me, who very much loved carnivals. Of course. I'm still into the sex. You're not scaring me. But still, I'm ready for Kirk Cameron. He comes up. He's on the screen. It's him and his wife. I can ignore his wife. That's fine. And he says, "Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. You might know me as Michael Seaver from Growing Pains." And I'm like, "Oh yeah. Tell us, Kirk. Tell us about the sex." He says, "We're here to tell you, and this is my wife, so-and-so Cameron, and we're here to tell you about the most valuable possession that you own, your virginity." That's not something you want to hear from the guy that you first flicked your bean to, right? That is not what you want to hear. Kirk Cameron, breaking my heart, real growing pains, right? So yeah, we would have all done much better off if Angela Lansbury gave the talk. And don't knock Angela Lansbury, don't knock her, because you seen Positive Moves? It's on YouTube, watch it. You will fall in love with that woman. She could have given a much better sex talk, I'm telling you. So yeah, huge disappointment. Our crushes disappoint us all the time, right? Either scandal, they become, extremist Christians, what have you. It's part of life. But I can't help but wonder, later on in life, I've definitely still fantasized about Kirk Cameron a little. Wondering what would sexual play be like with Kirk Cameron from Growing Pains and the Left Behind series? Well, first of all, you'd have to be married to a guy. No fun being married to Kirk Cameron. And also, it'd all be about being left behind, which is not really good for a gal like myself who has abandonment issues. That's a terrible idea. You couldn't even go to the bathroom, because you go to the bathroom, you come back, there'd just be a pile of clothes and like an embossed letter, like embossed with a cross on it, right? And it would say, "I warned you back in junior high that this would happen," right? And you've been a very bad girl. Prepare for Satan. It'd be terrible. But that's all right. Real people in our lives are better than our fantasies, right? But yeah, one more thing about Kirk Cameron, and then I'll close this out. In addition to his change of ways and his lack of sex, premarital sex, what have you. In addition to that, this man, there was a very, very serious video out there on the internet. It is very serious. And it's hit with him and this evangelical guy. And they're on this mountain. And they're talking about the Jesus, and they're talking about how beautiful God created this earth. And they have this, I don't know how to explain this, but yeah, so they have this very serious conversation about how God created the banana to fit just right in a man's hands. It's a very serious conversation, and this is the guy I wanted to learn sex from. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you all for being a wonderful audience. Don't forget that there's Plan B, harm reduction, get it, keep your bartender. Thank y'all. Woo!